Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be discussing 5 different tips on how to make the void intercepts battles a lot easier. So moving on to tip 1, we'll be using Devourer as our test subject. As we see here, we see weak point type and it says pierce. So you might be thinking, oh, I should only bring pierce weapons. That is correct, but also incorrect. You should not only just bring pierce weapons, because as we see here on the destructible parts as well as the removable parts, his core is weak against crush damage, and so is his shoulders, and as we see his sensor on his head and his knees, which are weak against burst damage. So you might be thinking, then why is it telling me that the weak point type is pierce damage? Well, after you break the core and the sensors and the balancers, then those spots do become weak against pierce damage, and pierce weapons will be doing a lot more damage. But before you can get to the point where pierce damage does more damage, you actually need to destroy its pieces, which is, if you want to break them a lot faster, you will be needing to use burst type weapons on its head and crush damage on his chest. And as we see for his shoulders is crush type, and his core is also crush type. Now if you want to know what type of damage your weapon does, as we see here, as we hover over the weapon, as we see on the left side of the sniper rifle, it has the symbol for crush, and if we look at here, we have the symbol for burst, and as we see here, this is another burst weapon. So if we're trying to look for pierce weapons for after we destroy it, we see here this launcher is a pierce type weapon, this tactical rifle is a burst, this scout rifle is a crush. So like you can just go through all these weapons and see which one is the type of weapon that you would need for whichever boss. Tip number 2 that we'll be talking about is the same thing on this chart as we see for Devourer. His attack attribute is toxic damage, so basically he'll be doing a lot of toxic damage, and as we see here actually says that you should probably try to build up toxic resistance up to 1800. You might be wondering, how do I build up toxic resistance? And that's very easy. All you have to do is go to your Descendant module, and just playing through the storyline, you should probably be able to find something that will give you, defense, or if not, it gives you certain resistances to certain elements. So as we see here, if we were going to go against Devourer and he does a lot of poison damage, we see here we have toxin resistance. And then for the next one, which I think he's going to be a fire type, the fire resistance would be really good. And going straight into the next tip, it brings me to my third tip, which is try to aim at destructible and removable parts. And sometimes it won't auto aim, like if you're on remote, because this game sometimes does have a lot of aim assist, especially if you're on remote like I am. You use it to your advantage and try just to aim for destructible and removable parts, because it does a lot more damage than just aiming for the body or non-destructible or removable parts. And the easiest way for you to find out which pieces are removable while in the game is just to do the scan mechanic, and once it scans the enemy, the pieces will start glowing blue. Now moving on to the fourth tip, as we see here, the next thing that we really want to be looking at is what its resistance is. As we see here for the Devourer, we see that it is very strong against poison damage, meaning if you have a character or weapons that do a lot of poison damage, it's not going to do the best, and it's very weak against electric. So one thing I highly suggest is, let's say you have a character that doesn't do lightning damage against the Devourer, and I have Freyna here and she's mainly poison, so a lot of her abilities won't do that good, but we can kind of then rely on my weapons. So then all we have to do is just go to the weapons mod list, and as we see here, it says fire enhancement, we have chill enhancement, and this is exactly which one that we want to be looking for. This one has the electric enhancement, so then we would want to add this to our weapon, and then that would make our weapons do electric damage. And then that will bring us to our final tip that I have for you guys, and that is going to be to level up your modules. I see a lot of people and even some of my friends who play this game and they have not leveled up any single type of their modules, and they feel like sometimes their character's abilities take too long, or they're just dying way too quickly and they feel super squishy. I would highly suggest you go in and go on YouTube, check some websites out, and just try to find at least a simple build for the early game and start leveling up certain skills that you're probably going to be using later on. As we see here for nimble fingers and strong mentality, I fully maxed it out because I feel like I'll be using these two for a lot of different characters, and I'll probably be using it in the late game as well. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I can't wait to make more content for the first Descent. It's only day 3 and I've been having a super enjoyable time playing the game and just grinding as much as I can. This has been a really enjoyable experience for me so far, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think about the game as well. But with that, thank you you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.